How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios.
And I'm Dane.
And we are back with the light element for the Razing of Helix of the first ever expansion, I guess, first evil expansion of the Everlast TCG. And we will be diving into specifically kind of the foresty fey creatures that exist kind of during a part of the first campaign called The Awakening. And most of what you see as far as creatures go will take place kind of around this general area here. It's basically foresty creatures, but more kind of like fey related as opposed to the earth element, which we talked more about the, how do I explain it?
Bears.
Like beasts and, creatures that way. I guess there's like treants and stuff, but yes, this has more to do with kind of fairy type creatures that are in the world of New Aldrulican, at least the region of New Aldrulican.
Yeah. One comment that I did get when we've been having different events with people, there's a lot of people who are like, fairies? Fairies are so good. And I think when people are thinking of fairies, they're thinking of like Tinkerbell, right? But traditionally in the fantasy genre, they are not good. They are as bad as they come. And so, yes, they may look innocent enough, but don't trust them. That's why they're evil.
Yeah, the demons will bring them and corrupt them and do what they can. As you will see, there are lots of kind of like demonic creatures too in this set as well. But before we do begin, the light element is going to be kind of your Swiss Army knife of elements. It is versatile. It's really good for teching into other elements as well, and it kind of draws on from elements of all of the other element types. But we also see, too, that as far as weakness and resistance go, they do have a weakness to dark type creatures and resistance to light type creatures. And so they are pretty safe. Do kind of take normal damage and do normal damage against the primary four elements, which are flame, frost, earth, and electric. But they really excel at fighting off dark element creatures. But without further ado, we can go ahead and jump into our first of the cards, which is going to be our Arbor Guard. Which, as you can see, it is a primary creature that has you can have up to 3 of them on your battlefield at a time. They have 60 hit points, and so they're pretty chunky, and they've got the monster plant keywords, and they are defender type. They have the trait Sturdy Guard, so reduce all damage done to this creature by 10, and so that's against anyone, and so they it's not just attack damage, it's art damage or anything as well. I know that there's a few creatures that either just deal 10 damage or as like secondary targets do 10 damage, and so they basically ignore the first 10 damage, which makes them a little bit thicker.
Yep, pretty good. Can we also just take a moment to appreciate the background art on these guys?
You'll notice a lot of foresty, like kind of like light autumn forest background, and you'll see why when the actual official tabletop RPG comes out. But most of these cards take place at a specific time in the event. They're not just kind of just like random creatures that are going throughout the wooded areas. It's like during the autumn time, during this time, these creatures are creatures that you'll be able to fight.
Yeah, and just in general too, like they artwork wise as far as background goes, especially for the Razing of Helix, they're all really good, but I have a particular affinity for the light type. So enjoy the artwork as we go through these cards because I absolutely love them. They're some of the biggest sleepers in the first 2 sets, Heroes of the West and the Razing of Helix. But that all aside, it is a defender type creature, as Kyle had mentioned. However, if you decide to forego turning him into the defend position during the attack phase, you can use his attack activate for 2 light mana, spiked club for 30 damage. It has an additional effect. Flip a coin. On the result of a heads, the target gains the broken status ailment for D4 combat round. So Kyle, what does broken again do?
Broken is a broken status ailment. No, it essentially what it does is creatures that are affected by it, their actions, whether it's attack or support actions, cost 1 more generic mana, so just plain mana. And yeah, so it makes it so their attack actions, which can be paid with technically any mana cost. So if you are running it in a different different deck, you can kind of choose like what the extra mana is that it is. But instead of like, for example, like a 2 mana attack, it's now going to cost 3 mana, and sometimes that's just not worth it, you know. But yeah, Broken is a pretty good way to cripple and slow down your opponent. So we see Broken a lot specifically in Electric Element, so this is kind of borrowed from like Electric Earth Element type decks. But that brings us to our next creature, which is the promotion of the Arbor Guard, which is the Arbor Sentry. So as I had mentioned, this is a promoted creature. It will be FAQ'd that this is not primary. It is a promoted creature from the Arbor Guard. It has the 90 hit points, a defender type, and the monster and plague keywords. It also has the trait Monstrous Guard, and so kind of a step up from the Sturdy Guard. Reduce all damage done to this creature by 20. And so he becomes thicker, not just with his HP pool plus 30 HP, but all damage is reduced by 20. He's one of those defender type creatures that it's kind of like you probably should be running the full promoted line of him.
And especially because considering his activate for the same 2 light mana is a buffed version of Spiked Club. So it is Bark Hammer for 60 damage. So not only does it do twice as much damage, but the target gains the broken status element for D4 combat rounds, meaning you don't have to rely on a coin flip for it. It just automatically gains the broken status ailment for at least 1 turn, which is
music to my ears, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be the primary kind of a defender line, or one of the primary defender lines, which brings us to our very first villain of the set. Auntie Addie Bloodfinger. She is
an ugly hag. Look at her. Ooh.
She's got, again, nice kind of like a little house background here, but she is one of our very first void cost creatures. So as you can see, she has the voiding keyword. She has 70 hit points, the captain, humanoid, voidin, and hag keywords. Most creatures with the voiding keyword have a void cost, which means you have to pay void flow in order to even play them onto your battlefield. So in this case, it costs 2 void flow to play it onto your battlefield. She is a support type creature. And so she has the ability, or the drop ability, Voidin Witch. So when you play this card from your hand onto your battlefield, add 2d4 void flow to your mana pool, which is really good because that could be either 4 or 8 maximum void flow, which you can use to power up attacks, play other voiding creatures. It's a really good, just immediate engine to be able to start getting void flow if you do want to play Void Index.
Yep. So very good, and it's, again, even though she's a light elements deck, Void Flow is going to be over all of the different elements, especially in different sets, and especially if you like Auntie Addie Bloodfinger, that hag that she is. She's actually very good, especially if you just play her from your hand onto your bench, even if you don't really do anything necessarily special with her. Getting that potential 8 Void Flow just off of a drop is super strong. But she does have if you decide to forego turning her or activating her for light mana, you can call to use, or you can choose to spend 2 light mana for Hag Call. Again, this is during the movement phase. So search your deck for 2 primary type creatures with the plant keyword and place them onto your battlefield in the unactivated position. So not only is it searching for 2 plant type creatures, but they're also unactivated, so you can start doing stuff with them right away. So very strong.
Yep. So again, it's similar to Ferdinand in the light set. It's a way, it's hidden behind an action at this point, but to start to speed up your board, your battlefields, to kind of fill it out before your opponent does, to kind of quickly begin to overwhelm. But she does promote into our first EX villain, which is Auntie Addie Bloodfinger EX. And so she...
whoa! She looks very different.
She is very different. Oh. She is a little bit of lore behind Auntie Addie Bloodfinger. So she is a hag, but her shtick is she kidnaps children and sucks their youthful radiance out to give herself. Kind of think of like Mother Gothel from like the Tangled series, but she uses essentially kind of like blood magic in order to stay young and pretty much stay eternal for forever. But her EX is... Has 100 hit points. It has a void cost of 3. So in addition to the initial void cost of 2 that you have to pay in order to play her, you have to pay an additional in order to promote her 3 void flow. And she is a support type. She keeps that. She has the villain, captain, humanoid, void, and hag keywords. She has the drop ability, youthful radiance. So when you play this creature from your hand onto your battlefield, fully heal all hit points to this creature and all of your active creatures with the plant keyword. So she is just a completely battlefield wide for your creatures, for at least plant creatures, heal. Which is super duper strong. And so you could even kind of use her as a pseudo tank, get her down to 60 hit points. Yeah, because it's fully heal this creature too. And then just completely revamp her up to 100 HP when you play her from your hand. It's super duper good.
Yeah. Let's also appreciate the art. It's really good. I really enjoy it. Not just her, she's youthful in appearance, but the background too. Look how cool it is. I really like this card. This is, I think, going to be a very, very popular card once the set actually does come out. Just for collectors more so than anything. But she is an EX creature, as Kyle had mentioned, meaning that if she does get knocked out or placed into the discard pile, you take a point from your life point total. So just be careful with her. She doesn't have a huge amount of HP. Yes, she heals, but 100 still can get one shot by some things out there. So just be careful with her. She does have the activate ability for 1 light mana and 1 void flow, and that is blood magic. So choose one of your active creatures to be the target of this support action. When the chosen creature slays an enemy creature with an attack action, the chosen creature heals 30 hit points. So especially if you've got a creature on the field that is pretty damaged, you can strategically use this not only to slay creatures, but to heal HP back as well. So she's not just a support to generate mana. She kind of is one of the first real healers we have, and for sure in the Razing of Helix. We do have like Beaumont and Guts, for example, who's a pretty good healer in Heroes of the West, but she's one of the better healers that you can get. So pretty
And
solid.
do note that this action does not stack, and so you can't just keep spamming it on the same creature, and then it's not like they heal 60 damage, 90 damage, 120 damage. It's once per creature, but there is not a run out of this, and so there's not a timer set on it. And so as long as one creature has this, figure out a way to be able to mark it, that this creature can now heal every time it does slay a creature, 30 hit points, and that is removed as basically every token status condition, everything like that, at the end, like when it is discarded from or slain or removed from the battlefield in any way. And so if you're playing against this creature, one good way to kind of go against this is to try to utilize cards that just remove cards from the battlefield, whether it's by slaying them or like item cards or something that forces your opponent to pick up creatures, things like that. But yeah, she can pretty much she can use it on herself. She can use it on anyone else. She can't really use attack actions, and so it's not super duper good on her, but it's really good for your defender and attacker type creatures. It gives them healing. But she does have the EX Activate, which is for 1 Void Flow Crippling Torture. So creatures that are EX creatures can only use 1 EX Activate per game, per creature. And so if you have another EX creature in here and they have an EX Activate, you could still use it. But for Anti-Addy Bloodfinger, you can only use 1 Crippling Torture in the entire game. Whether or not you get another Anti-Addy Bloodfinger EX out later, if you've already used it, you've already used it. But she, for 1 Void Flow, uses Crippling Torture. And this is a support action, so on during your movement phase. Choose one of your opponent's active creatures and return the target and all attached cards to the bottom of your opponent's deck in any order. So basically, it doesn't slay the target, but it removes it from the battlefield for just 1 Void Flow. That's pretty good.
And shoves it at the bottom of the deck. There's not a lot of cards right now that allow you to grab cards from the bottom of your deck. So that is also a way to kind of guarantee that they can't top deck whatever they just put it back into their deck. So
and it forces your opponent to use resources in order to shuffle things up, in order to search and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty difficult to be able to get whatever creature was the target of Crippling Torture back. So yeah, and again, for the cost of only 1 Void Flow, it is definitely a more precious resource than normal mana, but a 1 Void Flow EX Activate, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Super
which
solid.
takes us into our first dragons of either set, but specifically here in the Razing of Helix, the Fairy Dracoling. So it is a creature that you can have up to 3 of. It is primary, 60 hit points, beast, dragon, fairy keywords. And it is an attacker type creature. It has a drop ability called Fairy Breath, which is when you play this card from your hand onto the battlefield, discard 1 card from your hand and draw 3 cards. So it's a draw engine.
Very solid. It's also very cute. How is it evil? You'll have to find out.
Look at that mischievous look in
The
its eye.
Look at him. But no, if you he is an attacker type creature, so he specializes in attack. Go figure. So on the attack phase, you can use his attack activate Fairy Wind for 2 light mana, and so it does 50 damage to the primary creature, and then to the 2 creatures on the right and left. If there are 2 creatures on the right or left, it does 20 damage to them. So it's for 2 light mana, it's decent damage for a primary type attacking creature. So
yeah, absolutely
very useful.
It also promotes, and so what you see isn't just what you get. It promotes into the Fairy Dragon, which, yeah, obviously it's a little bit better. Why don't you go ahead and introduce this one?
Yeah, so again, it's got 20 more HP, so it's thick. It's got 80 HP. It is a beast, dragon, and fairy, the same as its primary version. But instead of a drop, it has a trait. So as long as he is active on the battlefield, fairy aura takes place. So you may play 2 primary type light element creatures from your hand onto your battlefield during the turn in the movement phase instead of 1. So not only because in the game of Everlast, you're only able to ever play 1 card per turn onto the battlefield at any given time. That doesn't include promoting. That's just a primary card onto your battlefield. But this trait, as long as he is out there on the battlefield, you can play 2. So it again speeds up your play. So very solid.
Yeah, I think this paired with Ontiati Bloodfinger might be the fastest deck right now. If you have something with both of them, you'll be able to probably by turn 2 or 3 get a maximum battlefield set up with them. Really good. But he does have an attack action, Fairy Gust, for 1 more light mana. It is an improved version of the previous. So we got Fairy Gust, which is 70 to the primary and 50 to the 2 secondary target creatures. And so he, for the cost of 1 more mana, definitely does a lot more damage for that cost. So
especially to those secondary targets, that's a massive jump. 30 extra damage is pretty solid.
Yeah, he's really good at dissipating your opponent's like a kind of death ball clumped creatures. So yeah, pretty cool. And if you are into dragons, this is going to be kind of probably your first look at dragon cards. There are plenty of them in future sets coming up here, but these are going to be kind of your inaugural dragon type creatures. And that brings us to our first captain, or second captain of the light elements of Razing of Helix, which is Bovak, Nightmare of the Loch. He is a boss monster that you will be able to find or be able to fight in the campaign. But Dane, why don't you go ahead and introduce this one too?
Yeah, let's take a moment to appreciate the artwork, especially the background. We got a sweet dark horse with an awesome moon in the background. Full moon. Speaking of which, tonight's a full moon. So, ironic. Full moon.
Watch out for the crazies.
Watch out for the crazies. But he is a primary type creature with 100 HP as an attacker type, which is huge. That's a massive amount of HP for a primary type creature, even for a captain. He does have 3 keywords: captain, beast, and kelpie. So again, mythical beasts. Look up your kelpies. Water horses are pretty sweet. But it does have a trait. So as long as he is active on the battlefield, To the Depths is active. So once per turn, you may discard 1 of your active light type creatures from your hand. If you do, rotate all of your active support type creatures in the activated position into the unactivated position, which is amazing because it basically, if you have a full line of support cards out there, you can basically activate them twice per turn. It's really strong. It's one of the best mana generation cards in the game as an attacking type creature. So it's really good. I think this is going to be a very popular card for evil type light decks in the
Even
future.
any evil type deck. I guess it's light type creatures from your hand, but
Mhm.
if you're running it in like a mixed element deck too, it's a good way to be able to prioritize maybe another element for your support type creatures. If you have like 2 or 3 maybe light types in your deck, it allows you to basically generate double the light mana from them. So pretty good. It does have the attack action as an attacker, a Water Spout for 2 light mana for 60 damage to the primary type, and then 20 damage to each secondary type, as you can see in kind of like this little bit of a cross pattern. And then the additional effect, draw 2 cards. Pretty good.
Any extra draw power is always appreciated.
Our next creature is the Rot White. This is our first undead creature, I think, that we've
I
introduced.
think so too.
At least undead creature with the undead keyword. So the Rot White, it is a evil creature. We can have up to 3 of them on your battlefield at a time. It's got 90 hit points, and again, for primary, that's pretty good. It's got the undead, plant, and spirit keywords, and it is an attacker type. It has the drop trait Terror. So this is one of those kind of more common traits that you'll be able to see. But when you place this creature from your hand onto your battlefield, choose one of your opponent's active creatures, and it gains the Frightened status ailment for D4 combat rounds with this creature as a source of its fear. A creature that is frightened basically cannot target this creature, or the creature that is a source of its fear, which is this creature, for the duration. So basically you can choose one creature on your opponent's battlefield and be like, that creature cannot attack this creature as far as the primary type. So if he happens to be in the range of like a secondary damage, basically damaging, he can receive secondary damage, but as far as from that specific creature that it is frightened of, he cannot perform any attack actions against this creature, so, or even target him with support actions. So it's pretty good. It's Terror is definitely something you'll see on a lot of undead creatures in future sets and everything. And so yeah, if there's something specifically potent on your opponent's battlefield that you're just like, oh, that could just destroy this, just be like, boom, that creature's afraid.
Yeah. Also, that 90 HP for a primary type attacker is pretty solid. In the background, it's
coming from Colorado. We get a lot of aspens, and so like that brings me back.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's not that scary outside, but it's definitely a contender in my opinion as far as non-EX creatures goes for one of the best artworks in both Heroes of the West and the Razing Helix. But he does have an attack activate. He's an attacker after all, so during the attack phase, you may spend 4 light mana to do Devour for 80 damage. So the additional effect is if damage from this attack action slays the target, your opponent discards the top 4 cards of their deck. So again, 80 damage, pretty likely to one-shot some things, especially a lot of primary type creatures, and even some slightly damaged promoted creatures. It could very easily knock them out, and it allows you to, again, deck manipulation, get rid of cards from the top of your opponent's deck. So
yeah, it's kind of similar to like the way that electric cards would work. It kind of draws, this one specifically draws from the electric element as far as how it works. But yeah, there's the Rot White. And Dane, why don't you go ahead and introduce our next creature? This is going to be our first support line.
That's a Fungling. What the? They just got mushroom hats. What are they from? Tears of the Kingdom? They walking around and getting some sweet fashion advice. I'm joking, of course. So these are the Funglings. This is a primary type creature. It is a support type creature. You can have up to 3 of them active on your battlefield at any given time. They do have a slightly small HP pool, so be careful. They only have 40 HP, but they are a monster, plant, and fairy. So no, that is not just a hat for fashion. That is part of their head.
Their brain.
So it's their brain. So the Fungling. It does have a trait. So as long as this creature is active on your battlefield, Springy Cap is activated. So when this creature is damaged by one of your opponent's creature cards with attack or creatures card attack actions, move the attacking creature to any unoccupied space on their battlefield, which is kind of cool because again, they've got low HP, so there's an incentive to knock them out, right? But at the risk of losing their positioning on the battlefield. So it's kind of a small little defense, but also something that you could utilize pretty well.
Yeah, and it does have, if you wish to forego activating it to generate light mana, for 1 light mana, you can use Find Treasure, which is just draw 2 cards. Pretty good. It does have a promotion, so it promotes into a creature called a Mandrake. And again, you can have 3 of them on your battlefield at a time. It has 10 more HP, so 50, a little bit bulkier, but not too much. It's got the monster, plant, fairy keywords. It is a support creature, and it has the trait Healing Leaves. And so it's always active. So while this creature is active on your battlefield, this creature may take 10 damage. If it does, remove a single status ailment from one of your active creatures. Super good, especially if you're fighting a deck that has a lot of control based off of status ailments. At the cost of just 10 HP, you have automatic healing at will. And that's at any time. No matter how many times you want. So it doesn't specify once per combat round. Like, you can just basically be, even on your opponent's turn, this creature takes 10 HP, remove that status ailment. It's really good. You have a limited use of it based off its HP. But yeah, it's really, really good. The best status ailment remover in the game.
Unless you have an anti-Addy Bloodfinger, and then you can heal her up instantly.
True.
She is a plant type, so that would be, or plant keyword, so she would work with that. But yes, you can have the if you can, again, forego activating her for light mana. Instead, you could spend 1 light mana during the movement phase to use Guarding Roots. So choose one of your active creatures as the target of this support action. Until the end of the combat round, the target creature has no weakness. So again, against well, any element type, but specifically if you're running a light deck, it will not be weak to dark type creatures. So very niche in a good way. But again, you're probably going to be spending her mainly to remove status ailments and generate mana anyways. So it's good. It's good.
Pretty good. Which brings us to our next creature, which is our third and final captain of the Razing of Helix element creatures, which is Seralith, Druid of Molith. Dane, why don't you go ahead and introduce this creature?
Yeah, so she's a defender type creature with 100 HP, which for a primary type is very solid. She is a captain, as we had mentioned before. She's humanoid and elf. So I believe this is the first evil elf creature that we've encountered.
Could be.
So that's interesting. I don't know if there are any other evil elves that we've talked about up at this point in the Razing of Helix, but she is. She does have a drop ability, so when you play her onto your battlefield, you can use the drop ability Channel Molith. So rotate up to 3 of your active creatures with the plant keyword from the activated position into the unactivated position. So she's very good, especially if you play her at the end of your movement phase. So you could use her for support type creatures. You could use them for, I mean, anything that basically where you had to activate your creature before, or even say you played creatures onto your battlefield using the fairy dragon or the first version fairy Dracoling, and you had 2 creatures. Well, I guess they're already unactivated onto the battlefield. Either way, she's pretty good. She can unactivate creatures, and that's pretty strong, coming just straight from your hand. You don't have to do anything other than that. So
speed is the name of the game when it comes to these. So between her and Bovac, you are unactivating all kinds of things. But yeah, she is a druid, and so she basically uses kind of like channels a evil spirit called Molith, a demonic entity that does kind of control her to a degree, but that's where she gets the majority of her powers, kind of in the lore. But she does have the attack action if you choose to forego guarding with her. For 3 light mana, she has Claws of Molith for 70. With the additional effect, move the target to 1 space to the left or right of its original position into an unoccupied space. Reduce all damage done to this creature by 30 until the end of the combat round. And so basically, if you're going first in the combat round, you attack with her. Any damage done to her is reduced by 30. So she becomes even thicker, protecting her from smaller attacks, especially if there are a bunch of, let's just say there's like a big line of like 20 to 30 or even 40 or 50 attackers. Like, she's going to be soaking up damage at basically at the cost of a bunch of your opponent's resources, manic resources. So it's pretty good. She does promote into our second EX creature of the set, which is a Seralith, Druid of Molith EX. She is a promoted type again. That will be FAQ'd and corrected in the unlimited version of the set. But Sarah Druid Moleth EX, she is an EX creature, so if she does die, if she is slain, you take 1 life from your life point total. She's 150 life points. She's got the villain, captain, humanoid, voidin, demon, and elf keywords. So she's gained a few more keywords, including the voidin and demon keywords. And she does have a void cost. So in order to promote her, you need to pay 4 Void Flow in order to do so. She has the trait Moleth Reborn. So while she is active on the battlefield, at the end of the combat round, if you have fewer active creatures on your battlefield than your opponent, choose one of your opponent's active creatures and deal it 30 unresisted damage. And so if again, this is kind of a speedy deck, most likely if you're using it, but if you're in any position where you're kind of going from behind, you can just do 30 unresisted damage just consistently each turn if you have fewer creatures on your battlefield. So pretty good.
Yeah. And again, if you just decide to forego defending with her, you can choose to use her activate attack during the attack phase for 2 light mana and 2 void flow, and that is Rage of Moleth for 70 damage. Its its additional effect is your opponent discards their hand and draws 1 card. Reduce all damage done to this creature by 30 until the end of the combat round. So it is kind of expensive, but devastating. The fact that you can reduce your opponent's hand to 1 card, not only does it allow them to, or make them have to spend resources to get their hand back up, but that's one of the most dangerous things to have in the Everlast trading card game is a small hand. You want to have a big hand. So it may seem like 70 4 mana and 2 void flow, which is a very difficult resource to come by. It's worth it. It does a lot of damage. So it does a decent amount of damage, but the actual additional effect is devastating, absolutely devastating.
And it still has the ability of the Claws of Moleth, where it makes her thick until the end of the combat round. So, and then she does have her EX activate, which you can only use once per game with Saralith Druid of Moleth, which is for 1 Void Flow Arbor Siphon. Add 2d4 plus 1 of any mana to your mana pool, basically basic mana, which is awesome, really good for decks that are multi-element. So that's specifically where this card excels, is in multi-element decks.
Also, the artwork's great. Like it. Like it a lot.
Super duper nice. Which brings us to our final attacker line, which is going to be the Spriggan line. Spriggans are primary type creatures, evil type. You can have 3 of them on your battlefield. They are squishy with 40 hit points. They are monsters, plant, and fairy, and they are attacker types. They have the drop ability, Spriggan Magic, so when you play this card from your hand onto your battlefield, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 revealed creature to your hand. Shuffle the remaining cards back into your deck. Pretty good. Again, any search, even if it's just looking at the top 3 cards of your deck, your opponent does get to see them as they are revealed, but it's good to be able to kind of like cycle through your deck, and then you shuffle your deck because of it. So any deck shuffling is nice.
Yep. And pretty solid. They've the Spriggans have an activate action that you can use on your attack phase for only 1 light mana. So again, this will probably be a good damage dealer against life points and such, as it is cheap. And that is for Glittering Splash. And so for the primary target gets dealt 30 damage, and the secondary target gets dealt 10 damage. So again, pay attention to the actual breakdown of damage here. If you have a creature that is on the back line, you could, using the primary damage, skip over it, hit life points, and also hit the creature that's in front of it. So
because it is important to note that only primary target damage damages life points, and so you have to be able to target the life points directly with the primary kind of focus, where secondary damage does not target life points at all. So you're not only doing that, but you're also doing 10 damage to if there's a creature in front too.
So it's very good. Not only is it only 1 mana, but it's basically a life point wrecker if your opponent's not careful. So
exactly,
very good. Yep.
And it does have a promotion. It promotes into the Spriggan Stinger. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Spriggan Stinger, again, it just is the promotion. So it's got 60 HP, so slightly more. Again, it is attacker with the monster, plant, and fairy keywords. But it also has a drop ability. So when you play this card to promote your Spriggan, you may use Fairy Stinger. So until the end of the combat round, all of your active creatures with the Fairy keyword gain additional 20 damage to all targets of their attack actions. So again, this pairs very, very well with fairy dragons and fairy dracolings. So if you want to run a dragon deck, these are very solid in a dragon deck. So
yeah, and it's to all targets, and so not just the primary target, which is awesome. And they do have an attack action, which for one, again, Spriggan Spear, which is similar to the last one, but instead of 30 to the primary, it's 40 to the primary. Instead of 10 to the secondary, it's 20 to the secondary. So more damage, same cost, still just as deadly against life points.
Very good.
All right, and that moves us down into one of our main defender lines, which are the Toadstools. These guys are nice looking. They're mushroom men, but they have you can have 3 of them on your battlefield. They have 50 hit points. They have the monster and plant keywords, and they are defender type creatures. They have the trait Fungal Spores. So while this creature is active on your battlefield, at the end of the combat round, this creature heals 20 hit points to itself. So it's really good at staying alive. If it can survive attacks, it can stay alive.
And if you decide to go forego defending in the attack phase, you can choose to use Mush Punch for 2 light mana. So it does 30 damage, and the additional effect is move the target backwards until it impacts another creature card or until it's moved to the back row. If the target impacts another card, deal 30 damage to the impacted creature card. So not only does it move the creature around on the battlefield that you hit, but it has the potential to do collateral damage as well. So very solid.
Kind of similar to the Springy Cap a little bit, but basically he smacks you and you bounce. You bounce back, just like Bumbles. But he does promote into the Mush Magus, which, again, you can have 3 of them on your battlefield with 80 hit points, so 30 more hit points, making him thicker. He's got the Monster Plant keywords, and he's a defender type. He's got the trait Fungal Spores. At the end of the combat round, this creature heals 20 points, so it's the exact same thing.
And its activate is for 3 light mana, Mush Move for 60. So move the target creature once, or target 1 space in any direction into an unoccupied space. So again, it's very good at moving creatures around if you decide to forego using the defend action.
And even, like, let's just say you have, like, your opponent's have a battlefield and you need a couple more life points that you want to chip away. You can use this 60 damage. Let's say it's like an EX creature, so it's really thick. 60 damage, move it away, and then you can use a creature behind or in front of this on your combat line, and it frees up a lane for them to be able to attack. Or if you even have your Spriggans, if there's a creature in the back line, you can move one creature away, and then you can attack life points while also damaging. And so movement is kind of really nice when it comes to, and it's not super cheap movement, but if you have enough mana, it might be a good way to be able to do a little bit of something, especially late game when your resources are very important. And that brings us to our very, very last creature of the Razing of Helix. And Dane, why don't you go ahead and introduce this one?
Ooh, look at that artwork. Ooh. Again, probably tied, maybe a little bit better than the Rot White background artwork. But the Will-O-Wisp is one of the support type creatures of this Razing of Helix light type creatures. So again, you can have up to 3 of them onto your battlefield at any given time. They've got 40 HP, so again, lower HP, but they have the monster, elemental, and spirit keywords. When you do play them from your hand onto your battlefield, the drop ability Spirit Flame takes a hold, which is choose one of your opponent's active creatures and it gains the burn status ailment for D4 combat rounds. So Kyle, what does the burn do?
Creatures that are affected by burn, every time they are rotating to activated position, so whether it's through an action, your opponent could even activate your creatures, or through like generating mana or rotating into the guard position. Anytime they're basically activated to rotate out of their unactivated position, they flip a coin. On the result of a tails, they take 20 points of unresisted damage, and so it's pretty good. It can hurt. It can add up, and so the whatever action they have still goes through, but they have the chance to take damage from it.
Yep. And
And
then the activate. So yeah, if you decide to forego rotating this creature to generate light mana, you can spend 3 light mana to use Spirit Curse. So discard discard this creature. If you do, select one of your opponent's active creatures and cancel the effect of all of its active traits until it is removed from the battlefield. So basically, you could sacrifice this creature to stop one of your opponent's traits, which could very much ruin your day. So that's very strong. It's a way to cancel out traits, which is very rare. Yeah.
and it's not on a timer, basically until it's removed from the battlefield. And so let's say, for example, if you have a creature that just has like a base trait, we'll take, for example, Mushmagus. If this creature has fungal spores, not only is that trait canceled out, but let's just say another card comes into play that, for example, has the ability to give this creature aggressive, which would allow it to be able to attack before anybody else. So it would have fungal spores and aggressive. It would also cancel the effect of the aggressive trait as well. So it's all traits active on a creature.
Yeah.
So yeah, like definitely the light element has a lot of control over basically canceling traits out. And so I can see that this card, even though it has a kind of hefty cost of 3 light mana in order to do that, this would be a decent card to be able to tack into your deck, because it also generates its own mana for itself to do that. Basically, you just have to keep it safe until you get that mana, and then if there's something that is causing some serious issues on your opponent's battlefield, you can just target it and be like, hey, no more traits for you until it's removed. And so it incentivizes either your opponent to remove that creature from their battlefield themselves, or basically it nerfs that creature for until it's either slain or removed. So pretty good.
Yep. Very solid.
Yeah, and that's actually the very last card of the Razing of Helix. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we will be going over the cards, the dark element cards for the Razing of Helix, specifically the Bandits of Rogue. So for those who have seen our Master Assassin video, anything like that, there's a lot of cards that are kind of similar with that. But yeah, it's very exciting to be able to kind of begin to finish up these element reviews. We have pretty much everything from flame, electric, earth, also frost, and light.